Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Oh my gosh, can you believe this? Hello. I hope you guys all had a happy and safe 4th of July. Hello to everybody. Oh my gosh, I see all of the love in the chat. You guys are from everywhere. We're covering all the coasts and we've got our Canada doula givers. There's Connecticut. Hello, hello. And Nancy Joe's in the Redlands, California. So good to see you. And Karen is in Maryland. And Jill says, Happy Tuesday to you, Jill. And Carrie is in Maryland. And Arlene is in Oahu. Oh my gosh, we're covering all the states. And Heather is in our beautiful British Columbia. Good to see you, Heather. And Michelle's in Tennessee. Hello, Michelle. And Pam's in Bozeman, Montana, one of my favorite places to visit. It's so beautiful up there. Anne's in Cape Cod. I thank you for what you said, Anne. I'm loving that you love this course, and I'm so glad that you have learned so much. I'm so glad that you're here. Michelle's from Iowa. Gloria's from the Bay Area. Hello, Gloria. Orange County in California, Lisa, welcome. And Carol's in Pennsylvania. Boy, there's a lot of doula givers in Pennsylvania. I hope you, Pennsylvania, um, doula giver family can get together and connect because there are quite a few of you there. I hope that you can connect. And Christine's also in Pennsylvania. That's right. Amy's in Wisconsin. Clarice is in New York. Welcome, Clarice. And Dagmar's in Wilmington, North Carolina. That's a beautiful area as well. Oh my gosh, Colorado. Ray, Winnemucca, I'm still coming to you, Ray. I'm still coming to you. And oh my gosh, Patricia said that she passed her test this week. Congratulations, Patricia. I've seen a lot in the group in our group chat that in our Facebook group that are people that are taking their tests. That's super exciting. You guys are all amazing me. And Ellen's in Seattle, Sheila's in New York. Oh my gosh, so many people. And there's San Luis Obispo. You know, for some reason, I never made it to San Luis Obispo. I've heard it's just gorgeous there, Geneva. So welcome. Oh my gosh, so welcome everybody. Wisconsin, New York City, Tampa Bay. Okay, I think we've covered the whole U.S. And I just want to say thank you guys so much for coming. Can you guys believe we're at week 11? It blows my mind how fast this has gone. I just want to take a pause, right? So I'm seeing some people, in their posts on Facebook saying, they're feeling a little nervous about the test and kind of feeling like, oh my gosh, what's next? And I just want you to take a moment and okay, I'm just going to have a confession here. I feel like sometimes I have a hard time just like being in the moment and like I'm like, okay, what's next? And something really good happens and then I'm just like, okay, what's next? And so I've been practicing, it's a practice, right? Of just being able to just practice being in the moment. And what you are doing right now is huge, just huge. And so I really want you to take a moment and just pat yourself on the back and say, you guys have almost completed this 12-week course. We've been doing it together. And I'm just so, see, Heather, yes, I'm so excited for you guys. And I keep saying this over and over again, but you have no idea what's in store for you. Lives are changing as we speak. I did recently, I'm doing one of the many gifts of this program is as doula givers, we get to go out into the community and we get to provide education to our people in our community. And not only do we get to provide this education for our community, but we get to help our loved ones. We get to help ourselves become more comfortable with death, but also being able to help our loved ones. And I did a Good Death seminar series that I'm providing in our community. And I had someone message me today. She did the whole series with me, and during that time, she had lost her mom and her husband during this 12-week course, and super hard, right? Super hard to have that much loss in such a short amount of time. And she said if it wasn't for the education that she had received from doula givers, and she did the 90-minute training, the free level 1 training, and then she read the good death book, and it's just been really embracing this program. And she said that for one, her healing process of the grieving process has been, she feels like it's a little softer, even though she misses her loved ones so much. But really, she said the education that she received just in the 90-minute training, and then also by reading the Good Death book, it really helped her to navigate caring for her loved ones. And I just go back and I think about what Suzanne talks about. If we can just help one person have a positive end of life experience. This woman was able to support her family, and they both had beautiful end of life experiences. And I just think, gosh dang it, if we could just reach one person in this beautiful ripple effect just by being us and having the knowledge that we have, just think about the impact that we're going to have for our loved ones, for ourselves, and for our community. It's huge. And so I just want to say, get ready because things are happening, and I really want to encourage each of you to just keep going. And I saw some things in the Facebook group also about feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm so far behind. You're not behind. Everything is in perfect timing, and so don't feel pressured. You know, things kind of happen. We have starts and stops that happen. Life happens. And I always say it's, life is in full session. So just give yourself some time if you need to regroup, but don't stop. Just keep going. And with that, I am so excited that you guys are all here. Are you guys ready to dig into this module? It's so good. I know I say that every time, but this one's really good too. And so we're going to be talking about children in death. We're going to be talking about what to do when your patient dies. We're going to be talking about grief and all sorts of other things, and how we can continue to build our doula giver practice. So okay, so here we go. You think I have enough practice? I still get a little nervous screen sharing, so bear with me here. And we're going to go ahead and quiet the chat. And don't forget at the end, make sure to do #question so we can do live Q&A. I'll try to get to as many questions as possible. But as always, I will try to make sure to get to as many questions as I can. Okay, here we go. Okay.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Doula Giver Certified End-of-Life Doula Training. My name is Suzanne O'Brien. Congratulations! You are 2 modules away from completing the Certified End-of-Life Doula Training, and we have covered so much great material. I really want to honor you, and I want you to honor yourself at this point. Some people, this is very much brand new information, so please understand that you are not expected to memorize everything and understand every nuance of this training the first time around. You have it forever. You also have every month, you have your mentorship, your live mentorship with myself, Suzanne O'Brien, on the 15th of every month at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. That's for continued mentorship and support. And you have your private Facebook practitioners group, which is 24/7. So there is always, and this is a learning process, and you are growing into the doula that you are going to be. So it is a process. And for many of you, this is just, again, so beautiful what you've accomplished to this point. So I always want to say, how proud I am of the work that this group is doing, this class that you are doing, and you are 2 modules away from completion. So this is level 3, week number 3, end-of-life doula training. What you will learn today, we will talk about what to do when your patient dies. We will talk about the truth about children and death. We will also go over how to care for a dying child. We will talk about teenagers as well. The grief doula. We will talk about your role as the grief doula and how you offer that and the techniques you use to help people grieve. Grief and the steps to help heal grief. Alternative medicine and holistic modalities, those adjunct practices that work really beautifully with healing. And I always say that it is a wonderful combination to use Eastern and Western medicine together. And of course, when appropriate, with great education, thought process, and discernment, you pick your treatments. And we are advocates as doula givers, especially if you're taking the elder care doula training, you are going to be working with people as their advocate. So it's very important to have all the information before you decide on a treatment, but I love East meets West, and we're going to talk a lot about alternative medicine tonight, and the great effects that that has, and then the end-of-life doula mission statement and the code of ethics. So what to do when your patient dies? Number one, do not rush this process. It is so important to stop, and many, many times you will be involved in a case. You will be coming into the case late because people don't go on hospice services very late. We don't talk about end of life until it's, almost right in front of us. So when you do come on as a doula, a lot of times it is just a playing catch up and a race against time and putting band-aids on things and making it the best you can be. So when the person dies, it's interesting because people tend to rush that process too. Now, most people don't know what to do. The families are petrified. The patient is home. They don't know what to do, so they immediately call the funeral home or call hospice and have that put right into motion immediately when somebody dies because they don't know anything else and they're nervous and they're scared and they're, going at 20 million miles an hour. Preferably, you would have had this conversation and created this end-of-life plan, what that vigil period looks like, what the time of death looks like, who should be there in that care plan that you have. But let's say you don't have that opportunity, or let's say there are more people involved now, or people kind of, it's like the birthing plan, people kind of like threw that out the window because everything became so heightened and nerve-wracking. Well, it's a time to get grounded now. It's really a time that we need to pause and take this all in. There's so many important reasons for this. We will never get this time back. So I really have to stress that so important in this experience is that we will not be able to get this time back with the end-of-life patient in this home environment. And it is really important for us to be able to have everyone take their time, process this, just all the important elements of it. So breathe and do not rush this process. Make sure that families know that there is no emergency, that that person does not need to be whisked away at this very moment. In fact, they shouldn't be, and we should have talked about this prior. So number one is don't rush this process. It's so important for healing, bereavement, and the process of still loving our loved one after they have died, still feeling that love for them, for our brains to concretely understand that that person is no longer living. There's something very important about that for healing. And then the detachment process to start the grief and bereavement. So this time period is critical on many, many levels. So make sure your family takes all the time they need, and everyone who needs to be there is notified. So again, that should be in that initial care plan for the family that you put together. However, you want to make sure that if people weren't notified that this is happening soon, that everyone has an opportunity to get there. Again, we can't do this piece over. Notify the hospice nurse that the patient has died. So a lot of times I will ask the family if they'd like me to notify the nurse. I will give the nurse a heads up. However, the nurse needs to, or a doctor by law, needs to come out and pronounce the patient. So that's the legal time of death. And so the nurse will come out, but you should be able to share with her or him that this family wants, time with their loved one, that we don't want to call the funeral home right away. So that should, again, all have been discussed. If it isn't, then you are the one who is grounding everyone and discussing that at this time, encouraging them to pause, get present, and take this time. It's critically important for their healing with their grief. Encourage family to sit with the patient, share stories, pray, sing, etc. It's, again, a very loving time period to honor this person who has just died. Please remember that they will never be able to get this time back, and it is a critical period that no one, and one that can help healthy grieving immensely. The other thing that I want to mention here is that when you call a funeral home to come and to pick up the person. You know, I don't want to say that this is a job to funeral homes. I don't want to say that it's just a job, because I'm going to give people a lot more credit than that. But I do also want to remind you that it is a job, and that sometimes they have multiple people that they have to get to. And, you know, a lot of times they can get there within 15 minutes and they want to get it done, and it's not a very pretty sight. So for me, as the doula, as the hospice nurse, again, I want to protect families from this image, from this visual. There's no need for it. So I often want them to not be witnessing the putting on the body on the stretcher in a plastic bag, so to speak, on, you know, on that gurney and being brought out, unless somebody is adamant about wanting to be there. I, as the doula, will take on that role to go ahead and work with the funeral home and make sure that they are completely respectful and gentle to the deceased. So it's very helpful to have somebody in that room as eyes and ears, and I always volunteer to be that person. But also, again, you know, people are in like the highest level of their grieving once somebody has finally died, and we want to make sure that they don't have to have these images cemented in their minds, and they're not warm and fuzzy images. You know, somebody's literally put on a gurney in a plastic bag and zipped up, and that is not necessary to see. So I, as the doula, offer to make sure that I am helping the funeral home and having people congregate in a different room so that they are not witness to that. There's really, again, no benefit to it. You might have somebody who is demanding or wanting that they are going to be there. However, it is not something that is necessary. Okay, so we want to make sure that we don't rush that process. Okay, so here we go. Sorry about that. I am trying to change that screen a bit. Okay, the truth about children and death. Let's talk about that for a minute. The truth about children and death. Now, I'm speaking right now to the moment of when you have a child that has somebody in their family that's dying or has died. You know, people try and protect them, quote unquote, by not being honest with them or shielding them, or telling them things that are really terrible as far as psychologically, like somebody's sleeping or somebody went on vacation. I mean, these things do happen. I want you to know that children know. Children know things are going on. Children are so intuitive. Remember when we talked about that being a doula, you are going to use your intuition. You are going to be grounded and present, fully present, and you are going to be using your eyes, your ears, and your intuition, your knowing. How do you feel? What do you feel you should be doing, or what this person needs? Children do that all the time. Animals do that all the time. That's what they base it on. So children understand that something is going on, and they're a lot smarter than you think. It also is one of the greatest gifts that you can teach a child from a young age, and age appropriate, that death is a natural part of the life cycle, that we all do it, that grandma and grandpa are going to do it, that mom and dad are going to do it, that you are going to do it, I'm going to do it. You know, we just don't know when. It's just a part of the life cycle. It does them a great service to be brought up with that knowledge, and it's being natural, and it comes up all the time. Animals die, you know, our grandparents die, people, unfortunately, there's accidents and people die. So we want to make sure that we, in the healthiest way possible, honor children. And please, when somebody is sick and ill and dying, you talk to them honestly, you answer them honestly, you incorporate them age appropriately into what they can be a part of and do and understand. It's really important. In fact, you know, years ago, children used to be brought to funerals and wakes, and I have to tell you, the ones that will share those stories with me, because it's really the last 80 years that we've become so completely backwards and dysfunctional with death. But the people who share stories about, oh, you know, my grandma used to bring me to all the funerals of everyone, and it was like the best thing. It was so natural and normal, and I'm not afraid of death, and it, you know, was such a service to me. So please understand that children know you need to be honest with them. Now we will talk about how to care for a dying child. One of the things that is probably one of the hardest things in the world to witness the pain and suffering of a family going through the terminal diagnosis of a child. It wasn't as much for the child, although, the child symptom management and support and all of that, but I think the real pain and one of the bigger challenges, or one of the biggest challenges you're going to have, is with the parents that should never go through something like this. So let me just tell you right now, to put your mind at ease, we really don't get a lot of children on hospice care, that's home care, or doula services, because there are amazing hospice hospitals, and they usually will be in those hospitals. They are completely designed to love that child, to support that family, to have, all the fun that children can have, like everything they can incorporate, they do. They have amazing, amazing children's hospitals. I also believe it's correct that there has been a law passed that now allows hospice services in conjunction with other treatment for children. So where the adult has to go on hospice services with a terminal diagnosis and forego any kind of treatment to reverse the disease process. I was reading up on this, and it seems, and it makes sense, that it's not applicable to a child. So they can have both. They can have hospice, but they can still have I don't want to say aggressive treatment, but yes, like treatment, like chemotherapy and radiation and those kind of things up until the end, trying new things in the hospital. And that's where I feel like most of them are in the children's hospitals, and they do really beautiful work with supporting the child holistically and with everything they need and their families. But occasionally you will have a child that comes on services, as I did, and I'll share that story with you. But first, let's talk about how to care for the child who is dying. A major factor influencing a child's understanding of death is, again, where they are developmentally. So what age are they? For example, preschool age children are too young to understand the concept of death, particularly that it's permanent. School-age children are just beginning to understand death as a final separation, and teenagers typically have an adult understanding of death, but they have so much going on with hormones and where they are, it directly challenges their feelings of being immortal, which we feel as a teenager, and their growing need for independence. So, a teenager comes with lots of layers. They already have lots of layers going on for their development. And then you put this into the mix, and there's obviously a lot of issues and anger and all of that. But let's talk about the child, the younger child in these instances, because I think that's really, again, where we have to understand what your role is as the doula, as far as how you support that child that does not fully understand possibly the concept of death, and what it's like for obviously taking care of the loved ones, because the doulas take care of not only the patient, but the patient's loved ones as well. So how to care for a dying child. You're going to use a lot of the same principles that you use with bonding with your patient. You're going to build the trust. So children will, and please try and think of it as non-verbal communication with young children and with animals, or with people who are not able to verbalize, is that the way that you can build trust with them. They're watching, they're feeling, they're looking about everything you do. And a lot of it is, again, how you present. Are you there kind of taking over? What is your tone of voice? What kind of energy are you giving out? What is the intention? Well, young children, especially somebody who's in a vulnerable position of not feeling well, you want to build that trust and that bond, and that happens within the first 24 hours, if not the first few hours of you being by the bedside of a child who is terminal. So you build the trust, you get to know them, you be present, you be slow. You ask them how, anything that you can, if that's appropriate, if they can answer you back, but be fully present and engaged. Very important for tight symptom management for these little ones. So, little ones get scared if they have pain, and we understand it. So tight symptom management is one of our major goals, so that there's no suffering involved. And this again can be anticipated. This is not necessarily your job. This is really the hospice nurses, but you're the eyes and ears. You're there. You can give a heads up to hospice that there's changes. You can give a heads up that there needs to be a reassessment, that they need to come back, because things change so quickly. So a lot of children, unfortunately, have terminal diagnoses with brain cancer. And as we talked in our brain cancer segment, is that brain cancer has a lot of challenges. So, the nausea, the headaches, the paralysis, we want to be so on top of that, overly on top of the symptom management. Be honest with the child. If the child asks you questions, be honest. Don't skirt issues. Don't talk down to them. Don't pretend they don't understand. Give them that respect and talk honestly with them. Work heavily with the family. So obviously your work is going to be primarily the focus of that child, but equally heavier and in a different way, your doula work is with the parents, with the family, because this is going to happen, and this is something that nobody should ever have to go through in their lives, but we do. So it's very, very heavy. I also want to share with you that children will take on their interpretation of what is happening to them, good, bad, indifferent, based on the reactions and the way that their family's acting. So that's one thing you want to teach families, is that very important for them to process their emotions, process their feelings, and be as grounded and present and honest with their child as possible. Because if the parents are walking around petrified and checked out, the child is going to be petrified and checked out. So we really have to make sure that we're mindful of all of that. And again, children who don't have the words or the intellect to understand everything that's happening are going to take their cues from what's happening around them. So we have to be really mindful of that. Allow the child to choose everything possible. Everything possible. What do they want to wear? What do they want to eat? What do they want friends over? Do they want to watch? It is their show, and we support them. Let's make this as special as possible. It gives them back control, just like the adult. But this is so much more important in a sense, because children don't feel like they have a lot of control in the first place. Ask those open-ended questions. Ask open-ended questions. Allow the child to share whatever questions, fears, curiosity, perspective, and look for those nonverbal signals, especially with small children, that they are open to engaging in further conversation, or they are uncomfortable and wanting to shut down. So if a child turns their head, if they start doing another activity, if they get fidgety, then they're uncomfortable, and you need to stop whatever questions or conversation if it's uncomfortable for the child at that time, and you can go back to let the child direct you when is a good time, if at all. I mean, usually it is, but let them direct you, just like patients when you're doing your life reviews. If something comes up that's uncomfortable, and the patient doesn't seem like they want to talk further about it, it's over. You move on to something light, a light subject. The same is with children. Please note that, because some children will ask you a question and then be involved in the conversation and get uncomfortable, and then they don't want to hear anymore. They want to shut it down. So you really have to be in tune with nonverbal communication and signals, what you're getting intuitively, what you're seeing, what you're hearing. Reassure the child that you are here. Why are you here? You are here to care for him or her and their family. That sounds pretty good. Now, this child knows that something is not right with them. They also know that something is not right with their family. So across the board, cause for fear and being worried and all of the above. you came in this grounded, loving presence of unconditional love and no judgment. You're here to care for him or her and the family, whatever they need. And that's all you say. And whatever you need, I'm here to take care of you and your mom and your dad and your sister. Because one of the big concerns of children is that at the end, they are afraid to leave their family because they know their family is not well. So just like that patient giving permission to go, we have to do the same for the family, but you're now holding that space, allowing that child to know that you are here to care for their mom, dad, and sister. Ask the child what you can do for them. What do you need? What would you like? Utilize all the help from the hospice social worker, nurse, and the chaplain if appropriate. If people are open to the chaplain, most people are because they're non-denominational chaplains, and they're wonderful. I utilize everything. Encourage sharing of stories of how the child touched the lives of others. It's great to do that legacy value of life reviews and just sharing. Those memories will never go away. We have them forever. That little soul touched so many people and will always be in the hearts, and the memories will always be alive. Ask the child if they have any goal or wish that they would like to have happen. There are organizations that can help with that. Make a Wish Foundation is probably one that you're familiar with, and that is the website address for them, www.wish.org. They're wonderful, and they have, I think, state chapters, so you can find chapters within your organization. You know, there's I don't know the name offhand, but there is a new offering on the internet. The internet is amazing in quite a few ways. I mean, I worry that obviously we don't communicate with each other personally anymore. However, the internet does have some amazing things, and they have this service where you can get a wish or a message from somebody that you admire. And, you know, sometimes it costs $50, $100, $200, depending on who it is. They have sports people, they have actors and actresses on there. And so you can, if you know that your child loves somebody, or even your patient loves somebody, you can have the famous person send a birthday wish directly to that person. It's really wonderful. So I will try and find, I'm sorry, the name of that service. If you can probably Google it, messages from famous people, but I will try and find that, and we'll post it in the Facebook group as well. But there's lots of ways to make things happen and create joy. Okay, let's talk about the grief doula. The definition of grief first. Grief is a natural response to losing someone or something that's important to you. You may feel a variety of emotions like sadness, loneliness, and you might experience it for a number of different reasons. So I want you to know that grief has many different places that it fits into our lives, not just when we have somebody having the end of life experience. It can be for somebody who died, that's how we commonly know it, or a relationship that's ended, or a job that we've lost, or serious illness, or moving away from your home. You also can have, and you do have, anticipatory grief. So when you come onto a family with a doula, as being a doula and the doula services, you're going to be surrounded by grief of this process. You know, anticipatory grief of that death. And then, of course, when that person dies, there's the grief that goes along with that. So just know there are different levels and angles to grief. Everyone grieves differently, but if you understand your emotions, take care of yourself and seek support, you can heal. And that's really important to know. We're going to talk about the grief doula role and how you help your patients through that. Phases of grief, just so you know what they can feel like, look like, the emotion attached to it can be shock, pain, guilt, anger, depression, acceptance, and rebuilding. Now that's sort of a platform for the way that these can go, but there's no one way. Things can bounce all around, they go back and forth, and we hope that people come to the place of acceptance and rebuilding. Again, you can move 4 spots up and then move 2 spots back, and it's all okay. So steps to help your client heal their grief. And at the top there, you see grief healing is not linear, but cyclical. So that's what you need to remember, and you need to share with your patient. And now it's obviously your client, the family's loved ones, that healing is not on a regular, just every day getting better and better. I mean, hopefully, and there are times that, yes, of course, that will happen, but it is going to be a process, and it's going to be a unique process, subjective process to that person, and it is all okay and all normal. There are so many things that people say that it's not normal to do or to get over it. That's inappropriate. It's also incorrect. So steps to help your client heal their grief. Number one, take your time. You give that client permission to take as much time as they need. This is their journey. You are here to support them and walk along that journey with them. There is no time limit. There is no set time, and they can take and all is normal and acceptable. Be present. Really practice with them the importance of them being present and grounded in their grief. And I know it's hard, and I know that we just, in America especially, but I guess all over the world, we just run away from things that are painful or uncomfortable. And that doesn't make it go away. It does not make it heal or go away by running from it. And guess what? As my dad always says, you can run, but you can't hide. So it's gonna come out sooner or later. And usually when you squash things down and push them away and won't acknowledge them, they come out in more painful, mutated, however, dysfunctional ways. So really important to know that this is a normal, expected process, and to please make it unique to you, and we're here for whatever you need, and these are the things that will help. So being present, getting grounded, feeling that. We're going to give you techniques to share with your client on how to do that. Lean into the grief. Grief is natural and expected. Honoring it will help to move it. Honoring feelings, acknowledging feelings helps move emotion. So that's what we want to do, right? We want to move out of the grief, but we need to lean in, honor it, and acknowledge what's happening. Talk about it, speak about it, find a support group. So, we have family, we have friends, but I will be very honest that family and friends after a certain time period are not always comfortable with continued talk of that death. Maybe they have their own grief that they have to work through. So I think there's a time period that's great, but if somebody is really on their grieving and bereavement path, and it might take a good year, that there might not be the availability to family and friends, and you might want to leave the family and friends for more of your things that you do that bring you socialization and joy. So you can use them, but also know that there are support groups. And I think that nobody understands what somebody is going through as well as somebody else who is going through it. So I encourage, there's wonderful ones out there, to find a local support group. Speaking about it moves you towards healing. So please know that even just repetitive speaking about how you feel will eventually shift that emotion and move to healing. Very important. Steps to help your client heal grief continued. Get a grief journal. Journaling gets it out of your body. Plus, when you journal, you can let it go. You can say everything you want to say. If somebody is really making you so frustrated that they are not dealing with this, or that they're not there for you, or that you did so much more, let it out in your journal. That's a great place to do it. That journal is for you only, and you can say whatever you want to say in there, and I encourage you to do so, but I also encourage you to let every nuance of honesty of what you're feeling. And if you are having a down day, go ahead and have it in there. And if you are having a great day and you feel guilty about that, please don't, by the way, but let every emotion out in that grief journal. 6, reprocess the entire journey. So again, at the beginning of this module, we talked about sometimes that end-of-life process is so quick that we are just racing to catch up with it, racing against time, putting band-aids on it, don't even have time to know what's going on. And we're usually in a state of fight or flight. So we really are just focusing on the crisis at hand and what's happening. We don't really have the wherewithal to absorb every nuance of what's happening as a family member. And we also see things really in like a taped movie, but a taped movie of what is usually causing us the most pain. So that's kind of what's highlighted in that movie reel. So we want to reprocess the entire journey. We want to go back to the beginning and really like go through what happened, because we have to work with, we're going to have regrets during the journey. We're going to have things that we wish we had done better. We're going to have things that we absolutely are so grateful for, and the love, the feeling of the love, and maybe the forgiveness and acceptance and all those things. We're going to reframe that experience with those positive aspects of it. So again, we're going to take that rough draft film that was highlighting all the pain and negative things in that process of end of life. We're going to go back, we're going to edit it, and we're going to reframe it. So we're going to reprocess to get to the core truth and healing of all those elements to it, but then we're going to reframe the experience. This is a psychological technique of reframing it with spotlighting and highlighting all of the positive, wonderful things that were part of that journey. So reframing requires seeing something in a new way, in a context that allows us to recognize and appreciate positive aspects of that experience. Reframing helps to process the entire end-of-life experience, work through any guilt, pain, or anger, and then highlight all the positive aspects of the journey. Just a special little doula pearl side note is that we tend to do this with our lives as well. So we tend to go and have a memory of a time frame or a person that highlights all the pain and negative, and we forgot about all of the other pieces to it. So a great way to heal your past is by using this technique as well. Self-care. So now your client is now moving through the actual intense grief period, and we have to start now. Remember that the main caregiver has usually been going full steam ahead, taking care of that loved one who's been ill, even before they become an end-of-life patient. They might have had illness for quite some time. So their self-care is probably negative 100. So now we're going to develop a self-care plan and start rebuilding that person holistically. Nutrition, sleep, exercise, nature, nourishing their soul, really things that give back to them. Their bank account, their internal bank account is empty. We are going to fill it up. It's going to be flowing over. So we're creating a self-care plan for them. And of course, you ask what they like to do, what's important. You give suggestions, but they are numero uno at this point. And we're going to start filling up that tank again. Number 9, they can learn something new. This is, it's like a little rebirth. Ask them what they used to love to do as a child or as a young adult, or ask them if they had absolutely no limitations to money or time period or anything. What would they do? What hobby would they do? And then implement those things into practice. It's really, really wonderful. So you ask them, a great technique is to say, if you had all the money in the world and you had no job or time obligations to anything else, what would you do? And people say, well, I might want to learn Mahjong, or I might want to learn, I'm trying to pick something that doesn't take a lot of physical exercise. Although yoga for adults, for elderly, is there. They have chair yoga, and it's supposed to be absolutely wonderful, wonderful, wonderful for mind, body, soul. So I would encourage some of that. But again, people have an affinity for certain things. So we want to see if we can capitalize on that passion, because passion breeds the aliveness within us all. Number 10, practice gratitude. Positive psychology research says gratitude is strongly and consistently associated with greater happiness. Gratitude helps people feel more positive emotions, relish good experiences, improve their health, deal with adversity, and build strong relationships. Gratitude is of such a high energetic vibration that and every person can think of three things, at least three things that you are grateful for right here, right now. Grateful for the roof over my head, grateful for the food that I eat, grateful for the sun that was shining, grateful for my puppy dog, I am grateful for every little nuance. Gratitude, gratitude. And that vibration cannot run the same pathway of depression, anger, guilt, pain. So even for that short period of time that you sit in gratitude, you cannot have those other emotions at the same time. It's brilliant. So when you pull from gratitude, it will change your physical state, your emotional state within seconds. And we all have things we can be grateful for, all of us. And, I use an example in the forgiveness workshop of people who went through just heinous things and found gratitude in what they could, and it started to change the trajectory of their whole journey of something you think that no one would ever get over and find joy again. So practice gratitude. This is, again, a Doula Giver's Pearl for you to, in the beginning of your day, think of three things. It takes 5 minutes, if that, probably not even, but think of three things that you are grateful for and just vision them in your mind. Sit with your eyes closed. Think about that thing that makes you grateful and think about how that makes you feel. The love, whatever the connection is. And I'll tell you, your days will be completely changed. So this is just a Doula Giver Life Class Pearl, but it's absolutely wonderful. You want to share this with your client that they can find things they might not think they can at this moment because their pain and their sorrow is so heavy, but they can find things that they are grateful for. We all have it. So let's practice that and you will be amazed at the shift that makes for people. Steps to help your client heal grief continued. Be of service. This is the true secret to connection of happiness and fulfillment in life. And here's a few people that have shared wonderful insight on this. So the first one is, for it is in giving that we receive. Absolutely to that, St. Francis. The sole meaning of life is to serve humanity. Absolutely. When you get there, that's that highest level of highest self-actualization. We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. Making money is a happiness. Making other people happy is a super happiness. I like that. That was great. Giving back is as good for you, I think it's better, as it is for those you are helping, because giving gives you purpose. When you have a purpose-driven life, you're a happier person. When you give to somebody who has a greater need than you have, less things than you have, or again, a situation that requires more of humanity and of counting on others for kindness, and you give of your time, of maybe a monetary or maybe a symbol of something, or your conversation, it is everything. It gives you a connection and a purpose that has such passion, and you ignite this whole difference in you. You have purpose, where this individual might think that they don't have a purpose anymore, that the person that they loved for 55 years and were caring for most of them and taking care of them is gone. They have no purpose anymore. You do, you can be of service. You have to find where that fits. Be of service to help heal. Scientific research provides compelling data to support the anecdotal evidence that giving is a powerful pathway to personal growth and lasting happiness. Through the MRI technology, we now know that giving activates the same parts of the brain that are stimulated by food and sex. Experiments show evidence that altruism is hardwired in the brain and it is pleasurable. Helping others may just be the secret to living a life that is not only happier, but is also healthier, wealthier, more productive, and meaningful. I use fulfilling, meaningful, connected, joyful, happy, blissful. Those are the words that I would feel. So please heed that, not only for the client you're helping, but for yourself. As you all are in this beautiful line of work, it is tremendous that you step up to do this and you would feel these things. Steps to help your client heal continued. Allow your client to take as much time as needed for them, honor their feelings, create a solid self-care plan, and volunteer. Help them to help a person or cause they are passionate about. These are all empowering elements to finding joy again and living a full life after loss. Alternative medicine holistic modalities. Many complementary therapies can help a patient relax and reduce stress. They can help calm your emotions, relieve anxiety, and improve symptoms such as pain and nausea. Some people who are dying find it helps to have gentle therapies such as, and these are just some examples. We'll go through the ones that you may not know, but massage, most people will know that. So that's the massaging, having somebody massage the muscles in your body, and it creates relaxation. This is not always appropriate for people who have been through a lot of illness or are frail. They might have heightened sensitivity. They might have pain in their body, as they usually do. So you don't want to be aggravating that, and you would never, usually there are clinicians that will do massage specifically for this population if your client would so want that. So always go with a professional. Aromatherapy, reflexology, we'll go over the definitions of them in a minute and what they mean. When a patient finds again that touch at all is too painful, you can try other types that have no touch involved, such as visualization and guided imagery, meditation, Reiki, music therapy, healing touch, pet therapy. Many palliative care wards and hospices have complementary therapists who can treat patients when they are dying with these modalities. So let's talk about guided imagery and visualizations. First, let me start by saying your brain does not know the difference between a strong visualization, something that you sit and visualize and feel in its totality with imagining how it would smell and what colors it has. And when you go there, your brain does not know the difference if that is something real or something being experienced at this moment. One example to prove that is post-traumatic stress disorder. So when people have cellular, unfortunately, cellular trauma, that those periods of time that they were having trauma get stuck inside them and gets reactivated into smelling, feeling, sensing, the brain thinks it's on again. I'm in that danger zone and it's awful. But the same can be now used in a positive way. So that guided imagery and visualizations, the brain thinks it's truly happening, and all of the same wonderful benefits will happen for your body. Guided imagery is an ancient practice that includes simple visualization. Is a safe and simple technique. Guided imagery focuses on images, but this type of imagery helps you to harness all of your senses. So when you do it, that person brings in an image, and you really hone into the nuances of it. What colors? What temperature is it out? What do you smell? How does that make you feel? Like all that's happening, like it's really happening. It's really beautiful. Sight, taste, sound, smell, and sensation. This helps you connect to your inner resources for improving health. With guided imagery, you use your imagination and the power of your mind to create relaxing or positive images and experiences. Your body interprets these as real. So this can also have a very real impact on your physical health. How do you do guided imagery? You can do guided imagery in the comfort of your home. It is easy to get started. You can also see a professional who is certified in performing guided imagery if that's what you so choose, but you do not have to do that. A practitioner may encourage you to first try to release tension. This is how we always will want to start, is to get grounded in any technique that we use, even just to help relieve stress and anxiety. To take 3 deep breaths. Breathe in, count of 7 or 8. Hold 1, 2, 3, breathe out. Now, when your patient is having any issues with breathing issues, we're not going to require them to really do that much. Maybe a gentle little breath in and breath out. I would not have them hold. I would not have them do extra long. But normally, when somebody doesn't have any breathing issues, if you do just 3 deep breaths in and out, it can have incredible actually, it's the same. It relaxes the autonomic nervous system, settles down automatically. It's really beautiful. So a practitioner would start like that, and you can start with that. 3 long breaths, and then focus. This is how we start with meditation as well. Focus on your breathing. So you can really just quiet the mind and focus on the breath and of your heartbeat. Next, imagine a relaxing, safe, happy, or peaceful place. For example, you might imagine a warm beach or a quiet forest. Whatever the person, I had a patient who was dying and was a sailor, and that was his happy place. So we went with all imagery with sailing and the boat and how the water looked and the smell of the sea and the sounds of the birds and all of that. And I'll tell you, I mean, it was better than morphine. So again, what does your patient like? What brings them to a happy place? This all causes your body to release calming chemicals. You can create your own images, or there are visualization and guided imageries that you can get on the internet. You can download them. It's helpful to, again, pick ones that you think really would be something that the patient is interested or the client's interested in. And also, it's really important that they resonate with the voice. If somebody is leading a recorded guided imagery, then you want to sample before you actually will go ahead and purchase things. Most of these you can sample, and you want to make sure that that is a calming voice that the person really likes. Whether you create your own images or use another, you can intuitively quickly learn which ones work the best for you, and then you continuously can go back to those. Meditation. Meditation is a practice where an individual uses a technique such as mindfulness or focusing their mind on a particular object, thought, or activity to train attention and awareness and achieve a mentally clear and emotionally calm and stable state. So that is the definition of meditation. What I will share with you about meditation is it is a turning inward. It is you going inside, tapping in to your life force energy, to the place that you are perfect, that you have perfect harmony and in alignment with the highest vibration. And that's, again, when we talked about end of life, when we talked about spiritual awareness, we talked about patients sometimes getting to the place, hopefully all of them will one day, that we'll be able to witness that place of peace, serenity, even joyfulness, because they are in that pocket of that energy. And meditation is the quickest way for you and I and a patient to get there by practicing that meditation, that going inward to tap into our highest level of energy. So we want to practice that, and that's also known as mindfulness. That connects us to all of the universe, all of unconditional love that that patient is going to experience through that death process. But we will see glimmers of it during the journey, and also you and I, we can capitalize on that feeling now when you sit in meditation. It's one of the best things you can do. for yourself. And so your patients, you can do variations of meditation. You can help them to just sit quietly. You can listen to a tape. You can, again, have them just concentrate on their breath, quiet, concentrating on their breath. Reiki. Reiki is a form of alternative medicine called energy healing. Reiki practitioners use a technique called palm healing or hands-on healing through which a universal energy is said to be transferred through the palms of the practitioner to the patient in order to encourage emotional or physical healing. So again, this is that highest form of energy, that universal energy, that energy that patients will talk about, that where they're going and that brings them such joy and peace and connection. And Reiki is the practice, and again, this is ancient practice from thousands and thousands of years ago, that a practitioner is attuned to be able to bring in through, I feel like, a meditative state into calling through that energy and then using their hands in intention to give that energy to that person. There is a lot of scientific proof to this. There are people that love it. The thing about Reiki is it has to be a Reiki practitioner who has been attuned in Reiki. Again, lots of oncology and hospices have the means to find a practitioner or even may have a practitioner on staff. Aromatherapy. Aromatherapy is a holistic healing treatment that uses natural plant extracts to promote health and well-being. Sometimes it's called essential oil therapy. Aromatherapy uses aromatic essential oils medicinally to improve the health of the body, mind, and spirit. It enhances both physical and emotional health. So there are different of the oils that will tell you what they do. So just offhand, like lavender is used for stress and anxiety. And there is also a mixture called Rescue Remedy that is very helpful for anxiety. And you always want to get the permission from your patient and family that this is something they are interested in. But I love it. I feel it does a lot of good. I just like a scent around. I feel like, again, it calms the whole environment. It's beautiful. So there are, you can go on Amazon.com. You can order, what I would say is look at the reviews and get a high rated oil, because you want something that is mostly high quality and organic if possible. And then it will tell you, it will have a chart telling you what those, how to use them and what those oils are used for. So some might help with nausea, and some will help with pain relief, and some will help with stress. And some will just create a beautiful scent. So go ahead and you can, on Amazon.com, you can go ahead and look at the different varieties. I tend to try different ones and just see which ones I personally like the best. But again, they're really explain everything and are helpful. But read the reviews and get a good quality one. That's what I definitely recommend. And reflexology. Reflexology is a form of body work that involves applying pressure to the hands or the feet to produce changes in pain and or other benefits elsewhere in the body. So how does reflexology work? The science behind it is reflexology is that there are certain points or reflex areas on the feet and hands that are connected energetically to specific organs and body parts through energy channels in the body, again, based on ancient thousands and thousands of years of work that people have been doing with this. By applying pressure to reflex areas, a reflexologist is said to remove energy blockages and promote health in the related body area. A good old foot rub. I will just tell you right now, the magic of a good old loving foot rub to relax the entire body, to take away pain in the entire body. And again, you have to be sensitive if people have sensitive issues with their feet, but even a light rubbing and a little bit of squeezing might be, all they want. And I remember talking to patients that remember the days where nurses in hospitals used to come by and do a 15-minute back rub every night. And they missed that. And some people got a foot rub, and it worked wonders to help them to fall asleep and to ease their pain and to calm them. No medication needed, just good old massage or a little rubbing. But reflexology is the real technique and science behind what happens. And think about it, a reflex point on your foot or hand going into the body to a specific part or organ to relieve pain and remove energy blocks. Really, really magical. I love that. So your end of life doula mission statement. I think one of the most important things that I have to stress here is that the work of the end of life doula is that which is of the highest level of ethics and morals. If you are a private practitioner, you are working alongside of one of the most vulnerable populations. If you are not in this for the reason of being of the highest service, and always, even no matter how tired you are, always doing 150% at that moment on that visit with that client and family, you really need to think about that. So when you are going to graduate, there's going to be a code of ethics that's signed, that we have you sign the mission statement, that you understand this, and to the best of your ability will be upholding to be the end-of-life doula who provides the best ethical, moral, and educational care possible. So the mission of the end-of-life doula is to provide education and support to both patients and their loved ones. It is our hope that everyone worldwide achieves the most positive end-of-life experience possible. And the code of ethics, integrity, honesty, and truthfulness. Thank you. So let's go over your homework assignment. Your homework assignment for this week will be to pick the 2 healthcare proxies that you will need to complete your advanced directive. So your assignment in the second to last module was to start that advanced directive, your advanced directive state sensitive wise, and if you have already done an advanced directive, to go back and to make sure it is updated. So at this time, I want you to pick your 2 healthcare proxies, and by the end of the next module, I would like you to have completed your advanced directive in its totality, the living will portion and the healthcare proxy portion, and to have had the appropriate conversations with your family, loved ones, and of course, your healthcare proxies. By the time that you complete the certified end-of-life doula training, you are to have completed your own journey with your advanced directive. So that's your homework assignment. And now we can go to our questions. Okay. With children, it's called concurrent care. Thank you so much. Yes, wonderful. So concurrent care that Obama passed in 2010, correct, which is making kids dying at home more common, especially in states where children with diseases such as cancer get Medicare. There are going to be cases, and I think the more rural areas, we've had doula cases in the outskirts of.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Whew, technology. We did it. We did it. All right. That was a lot. So good. So good. I'm going to ask Nadine to go ahead and open up the chat. I would love to answer any questions that you guys have relating to the homework or anything in general. Such good stuff, especially about the kiddos. One of the things before we get started with the Q&A is there's a couple of resources, and I'll put it in the chat. But there's I believe it's pronounced the Dougie organization. So that's the Dougie.org, and that helps families and children with grief. And it's such a great organization. So there's that one. And then also Grief Share. Oh my gosh, Grief Share is an amazing organization that helps people. It's a support group. There are just so many across the country. There's also some that are available online. So I'll put those in the chat as well. So if anyone wants to ask a question live, you can raise your digital hand. And then also I'll be looking in the chat here. So let's see. Question. So, okay, we'll start here. Okay, so Tammy, okay, what about timing if the patient who has passed is an organ donor? That's a great question. So, timing is everything. And so, if someone is an organ donor, that conversation should have happened way before. Of course, so let me back up a little bit. So typically what happens with organ donation is a lot of the organ donors are people who have had traumatic deaths. And so it's typically someone who um, has, put a notation that they wanted to be an organ donor. And it's really important to remember that if someone is on hospice and there's an expected anticipated death at some point, organ donation can be a little trickier because the body needs to be kept alive in order for those organs to be harvested. So timing is of the essence. And so typically for organ donation, somebody would have needed typically to have passed away in the hospital so that they can be kept alive until the organs can be harvested. But of course, if someone is very much wanting to do organ donation, just make sure that those conversations are had way before so that things can be arranged. There are different types of donations. There's also body donation. So again, the whole body donation, that's a whole nother conversation. But again, that would be something that would be needed to be organized way before in advance. So that's a great question. Hopefully that answered your question. And then Michelle, please give a date and time of so yeah, good question, Michelle. So please give the date and time of the monthly mentor training. So this is a recording from a while back, and so please disregard that mentorship training that's on the video. So what is available to everyone is the Good Death to Good Life community group that's on Facebook. That is active, ongoing 20. There's just someone on the team that it has access to that group 24/7. So also support at doulagivers.com. So, what's available too, I want to just remind everyone. I know hopefully you guys have been on the Facebook group, and oh my gosh, again, let's take a minute because graduation is coming. It's just around the corner. So, hopefully, again, I'm going to say it again because it's important. I know for me, I have to hear things over and over again. So, even though we are in this live classroom together, be sure and go into your classroom. And I want you to make sure as you go along to click complete. Go through every module, make sure that you have clicked complete. And some of you have already taken the exam. So, congratulations for those who have done that and have passed. It's amazing. So as you click complete and work through the modules, you'll want, at the very end, you'll have an opportunity to take the exam. Once you have taken the exam, you've completed all the modules and you've taken your exam and you have that done by our graduation, which is, let me make sure I have the date correct. I believe it's July 22nd. Yep, 22nd. We have a really exciting, fun graduation ceremony for everybody. And again, I want to just kind of emphasize that if you haven't taken the test or, things have happened and you just haven't done the exam by the 22nd, please come to the graduation ceremony. We want to celebrate all of you, no matter where you're at. So please make sure you come to the graduation ceremony. But my hope is that many of you will have taken the exam, completed the course, and this is just for, I think someone had in the Facebook group, Heather, I think it was you that said, I'm not sure, is this for the 3 training programs? This is just for the end of life doula training portion. So remember, there's 3 trainings in this program. There's the elder care, the care consulting, and then the end of life doula training. So we're training right now for the end of life doula. Make sure you click complete on all of those sections in your module, take your exam, and just take a breath. It's going to be fine. Give yourself about an hour. I don't think it'll take that long. Go nice and slow. Get a nice cup of hot tea. If you have followed through in this training, if you've watched the videos and have done your homework, you're going to do great. And if you do not pass the first time, you get an opportunity to take it over and over and over again. So there's no rush, there's no stress. It is I think it's a comprehensive exam, and it really covers all of the things that we've covered. So if you've been doing the training with us all along, you're going to do great. So if you complete your training and then you take the exam, you also have an opportunity. Doula Givers is gifting you this 3 months of this program called the DSI-DMA, which is if you really want to take your doula business to, if you want some business support, that's a weekly mentorship as well, accountability group. That's amazing. So you get 3 months of that for free. And if anyone is really interested in stepping into that space, I would just take advantage of it because it's an incredible group. So that's available to you. Be sure and stay tuned about the graduation ceremony because it's going to be amazing. And Amy says she's going through the third round of grief share. Excellent, Amy. I'm so glad to hear that. So glad to hear that. So Letitia says, I have a question. I'm stymied by the seeming gap for people who have a loved one who is making a decision to just stop. The most recent experience as a client moved to a nursing home, and there was for a month or no improvement. Letitia, I'm going to ask you to come on after I ask Heather to come on because I need a little bit more information on that. I'm not sure if I'm understanding your question. So Heather, let's go to you. Oh, hang on. You did it.
Okay. Just to backtrack on when Suzanne was saying the homework,
yeah.
It said to pick 2 healthcare proxies, and that's fine. Being in Canada, I'm still having a hard time trying to find the advanced care planning form. They call it something different here than they do in the States. So the advanced care planning form, I've called the doctors, I've called the government, all these people I'm calling, they've never heard of it. I'm thinking, where do I get these forms? So I'm stuck there, and I'm also stuck with the healthcare proxies. Although the last time I had a living will done in Canada, that covered it. The lawyer did it, and that was the 2 people, the healthcare proxy, and it was also the advance directive, what my wishes were to be known. So I don't know where I'm supposed to go without having to go to an attorney because it's really expensive. And I don't know why we went to an attorney last time. I really don't know why, but we did. And so it's still, it's still good, but it's not what I need. I need whatever the forms are in Canada, and I'm just not finding anybody who will supply it, or so I don't know.
Let me make a note, Heather, but I'm pretty sure what you have done is adequate in Canada. If that's what they call it as the living will, then and you have your 2 healthcare proxies and you have your 2 chosen people that will speak on your behalf when you're unable to do so, then you've done it. And I think the only requirement for the homework is just if you've done it, review it, make sure that it's correct, and then if you've already done that part, all that we ask is that you just review it to make sure that it's up to date, current, because things change, spouses change, your healthcare proxies change and stuff like that. So just make sure that the 2 people that you've chosen as your healthcare proxies are still the people that you want to have speak on your behalf. Then you're good. You're good.
Okay.
But I'm gonna just ask because to be honest with you, Heather, that's kind of my weak spot about the required the information for our Canadians and our Australia doula givers. So that's my weak spot, but I will find out for you.
Okay, and I've been dealing with Kelly. She's up in Peachland, British Columbia, and so she gave me like the planning, not forms, but the planning book to read. So I'm going through the book and everything, but it's a lot of pages to read. And I'm thinking, I don't even understand. It's like you have to be a lawyer to read it. So that's why I'm thinking, how do I get the forms? I just want to know where to get the forms. That's
Okay.
basic. But and then I did take the test today, and yes, I passed, and I'm so happy about that. So I'm glad to sit in on this again, this one, because I took the class the day before yesterday, or this, and then I module 11 or whatever it is, and then I did 12 yesterday, and so it was wonderful. It's wonderful, and yes, nervous Nelly here. Okay, she did it. So I encourage everyone. I encourage everyone to continue on. Thank you.
Oh, I love it. Congratulations, Heather. I will find out for you and I'll get that clarified for you. And I too have a I'm not sure if you've done the care consulting piece, the care consultant training, the other training that's in this course. There may be some more. It goes way deeper into the care consulting. Is amazing. The training is, and it really helps to prepare those specific papers and stuff. But I'll find out for you, and so stay tuned. I promise. Okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. Hi, Michelle. Good to see you. Hello.
I lost. I think the answer to Heather's question is in this module. It comes up if you go through and click off if you've done them. There's one that comes up for Australia and one for Canada. So she just needs to go in and click on those, I think, and read. I was trying to go in and see, but I can't get there quick enough.
Yeah, she did go through that. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that she's looking for something a little different. She's nodding and said she did do that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think she's looking for a specific form, and I'm not sure if one exists in Canada. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Oh, Kelly's here. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Kelly, good to see you. Oh my gosh, this beautiful. Look at the sky behind you. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm driving, and I just heard Heather. So I wanted to let all Canadians know that you can find an advanced care plan on Dying with Dignity Canada. It's a very easy one, and they have the actual the advanced care planning kit, and then on their website they then have the advanced directives for each province. So you click on British Columbia, and it goes through.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm so grateful for you. Drive careful, Kelly.
I will. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. All right. So it takes a village. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Heather. Very good. So I'll go back to the questions unless anybody else has any questions. Feel free to raise your digital hand. So oh wait, let's go back to Letitia. Where are you, Letitia? Where are you? Are you? There you are. Hey, yeah, go ahead and unmute yourself, my dear. Let's see if I can help answer that question for you. You see that little, let me see.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Hi.
Okay. Hi, thank you.
Yeah.
So the question really is about the nursing homes and rehabilitation when a patient isn't making progress after being in a hospital or having a serious illness. It's not talking about an accident or an immediate death type thing, but the people in the facility realize earlier, most in the three instances I've had experience with recently, is that the person isn't making progress to get better, to be able to have functional life. And but there isn't anybody talking to like the spouse or the family, the children, letting them know that this may not be a good situation here. So then most recently what happened was then it was that shock and awe, like, oh my God, he's dying right now. And it was a mess because trying to find a hospice, the patient wanted to come home. the wife wanted her husband to come home. His children did not want him to go home. They wanted him to stay in the nursing home. It was a total mess. But anyway, the wife prevailed. He got home. And one of the things that he did say, because he had a rallying moment for a couple of hours, and he said, I want you next to me. I want you to lay down with me. But hospice had already brought in the really, it was just a stretcher type thing, the bed. There was no room for anything. So we cocooned her as close as possible. But it is so frustrating because this happens over and over. And if they have that stabilization phase, so much of the angst and the difficulties in the family relations could start to be unraveled instead of having this mess. And then boom, you know, I mean, in this poor person, it was about 36 hours and he transitioned quickly. So, and everyone was still in the shock phase, actually. They didn't see the transition. His children that were from out of town did manage to get in, but they had such a minimal amount of time to spend with him to really tell them. And to complicate this one particular situation, they had a sibling. The man's children had a sibling that had taken his own life at a young age. So there was all that. And then a few years after that, their mother had died. There was no resolving any of their grief. It was a blow up, let me tell you. But I don't know how we can get these facilities to help acknowledge that this is what is going on, is that they are going in the stabilization phase, but they're not going to get any better. Then there probably is no real solution, but oh my gosh, it's just so frustrating.
You know, it's so sad all the way around, right? And we personally can see the writing on the wall, and we see that it's coming. And I think that, you know, and I've said this over and over and over again in the group. We see what's happened and what's happening, and we see what can really be fixed. And I think that if something is not working, I feel like it's our responsibility and our job to really see if we can make a change. And I really feel like that's what each of us are going to be doing, because we have our own personal experiences. We've seen what's not worked. We've seen a lot of hard things, or we've experienced it ourselves, or we're currently seeing it. And so what we can do is position ourselves beautifully, because each of you in this group alone has a wealth of knowledge, and all of these, you know, there's someone in the funeral industry, there's social workers, there's nurses, there's people that have personal experiences, that have seen things that have not gone well. And so what we can do is position ourselves in our communities and help educate them. For me personally, when I was a hospice nurse, I was seeing a patient that wasn't even on my caseload, but she had been my prior patient. And I walked in just to check on her because she was super sweet, and I just wanted to say hi to her. And she was actively dying. And the med tech walked in right after me and said, "Gosh, I don't know what's wrong with her. She's been asleep and she won't take her medication." And she was clearly actively dying. And what I really felt like, oh my gosh, this is an opportunity for education. You know, she just did not know that this person was actively dying. And I think there's a sense of responsibility that each of us need to really step into that space of creating educational opportunities. And if it's going into facilities and doing trainings on, because some of these young pups, right, you know, back when I was a nurse, it was like a lot of nurses, I hate to even say this, but you know, there was this like eating their young, right? You know, you'll figure it out, which is really, I mean, it's not a kind thing to say, but that was a long time ago. But it really was really an unfortunate situation where the people who have been in this world for so long, for some reason, are, maybe they feel like they don't have time, or, you know, but we really, in order for our medical system to sustain what is coming, and we know all what's coming, right? The silver tsunami tsunami is happening. We have got to position ourselves in our communities so that we can be of the highest use to help support and educate these facilities, these communities, all of these family members. To me, I feel like that is just an obligation. We have to, and we have the knowledge and we have the tools and help to prepare everyone in our communities to have a good death. And it starts with us, right? And there is no solution, Letitia. I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for that. And it is painful. It's painful to see that there is so much of that happening. I think it's time. They just don't have the time to educate, or two, they just don't have the awareness, or three, our job too is to help educate the families. If the healthcare providers aren't able to educate or support them, then I think as a role of one of the many roles as a doula givers is to help educate the communities. Get out in your community, promote the Good Death Book. Like, we are in this prime position. Like, there is no better time to graduate from doula givers than right now, because the Good Death Book was just released and people are thirsty for this knowledge. And I think that we would be doing our communities a disservice if we didn't provide this education. It's time to step up, and you guys are doing it. All right, well done. Great question. Hey, Ellen, good to see you.
Hi.
Hi, good to see you.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I did a thing. I would like to connect with some gals in the area around Seattle, but anybody can come and play. I'm going to call it loosely an association of death doulas. So we can get together and train and talk and maybe interact because I'm going to need certain referrals, because there's things I don't do, like Reiki and all that kind of thing. And so if anybody is interested, find me on my Facebook page and or message me. You can do that too. And just let me know you're interested. It's very loose. It's nothing. There's no dues. It's just called that, for lack of a better word.
Love it.
Does that sound okay to anybody?
Please, everyone's raising their hands. Yes. So put in the chat or get a hold of Ellen. You build it and they will come, my friend. You build it and they will come.
Me.
Yeah, get a hold of Ellen.
And
like the Pacific Northwest.
I'm gonna throw my phone number out.
Okay, perfect.
If that's okay.
Perfect.
It is. And
perfect.
I'm going to look, because I don't know my phone number. 425-479-6883. And I'm on Pacific Daylight Time, but you can call me till only the wild goose knows when. So if anybody's interested in doing something like that, find me.
Okay. There are doula collectives all over, and you're right. It's gonna take a village, right? And I love too.
I think it is, and I think I'm not trying to step on Suzanne's toes with training or anything. That's not what this is. I just think we need to find each other and share our skills.
For sure.
So if anybody wants to train, talk, whatever you want, I'm your girl.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you so much. There are doula givers all over. Remember to use on the doula givers website, there's the doula givers directory. So you can find doula givers who have previously graduated also in your area.
Yes.
And so be sure and check that out as well. So there are
How do I get in the doula givers directory?
So if you go to the main doula givers website, on the far right hand corner, there's some tabs up top, and it says find a death doula, and you'll see
Uh-huh.
the directory, and you can either look up the state or you can just see all of the doulas that are listed. So once you graduate from the program, you yourself, after you take your exam and submit your
I
bedside
did.
hours,
I
you can
passed.
submit to good. And you can submit to be on the directory as well. So that's one of the things that I want to encourage all of you to do is please make sure that you do that. That is a beautiful thing to allow yourself to be listed on the Doula Givers directory. So well done, Ellen. Well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see. Amy, it's good to see you.
Can,
Hi.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make a comment. For one of our homework assignments, we had to reach out to funeral homes and introduce ourselves. So yesterday, I actually went to a funeral of one of the families that I was working with for, my hours. And I've known the director and the funeral home. They've done, my whole family and, really well known in the community. And I told him what I was going to be doing, and he was all thrilled about it and said, yeah, let me know when you're up and running, that kind of thing. And he made the comment and he said, whenever we go into homes, to pick the body up, he says, we never see hospice. We never see anybody there. I mean, not necessarily that the hospice nurse is going to be there at the time, but just with going through the course tonight, of maybe having us be there with the family and meet the funeral director, with the body. But it just made it sound like we never even see hospice. It's like nobody's there kind of thing. So he was thrilled that, there's doulas out there that would possibly do something like that, or maybe be there at the end. And so he was really excited about it. So just wanted to share that.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Oh my gosh, and that's how it works, right? One of the things that not only do we get to work with hospice, but we get to work with the funeral homes. We get to work with elder care attorneys. We get to really be out in the community to help educate. One of the things I wanted to mention, I can't remember if it's been mentioned in the training or not, but the only thing, we may discuss it later, maybe next time, I can't remember, but anyway, I'll just drop this in. So we can charge, of course, for our services as doula givers, but the one thing we cannot charge for, and it kind of steps on the toes of the funeral homes, is we can't charge for the after death care. So you can do all charging for grief doula, you can charge for all the things afterwards, but you cannot charge once your client has passed away and you want to help bathe the body or do any death care afterwards. You can't charge for that. So I just want to just say that out loud to each of you. Once the body care has been completed, and then maybe following up with the family, then you can continue charging per your agreement, of course. But that's just one thing that we cannot charge for. So just throwing that out there. But yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I think that working with the funeral homes and having a relationship, like they understand us, and they are grateful for the help. One of the things that I love to do after someone passes away, and I learned this from one of my favorite hospice nurses, is when the funeral home comes, and sometimes there's just this transferring the deceased onto the cot, and I've always just made it a practice to just smooth out the bed and just make sure that all the covers are nicely put back onto the bed. And then I'll take either a flower or something maybe that person had, maybe a picture or a watch or something, and I just place it on the pillow so that when the family comes back into the room, they're not finding a messy bed and things like that. So something to kind of honor, because they might have to be with that bed for about 24 hours waiting for the medical equipment company to come pick that up. So I've just always made it a practice to just make the bed neat, tidy, and then some kind of memento. And it could be just a simple little single flower, whatever feels right for you, whatever feels called to you to place there. I just think that it's a real special thing for the family to just walk back into the space so that it's not so shocking that there's an empty bed. So yeah, great, Amy. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're already at 6:40. Oh my gosh, I tried to answer as many questions as I could. I did see in the chat quickly, someone had a question about the test. So let's just take a breath. You guys are gonna all do great with the exam. Like I mentioned before, just allowing yourselves to give yourself, I would just give yourself an hour. And I want to make sure that you, like, this is an on your honor exam, right? So you could possibly make this an open book. I don't encourage it, but I do feel like um, that if there is a question you're not sure of, just allow yourself some time. You know, they're all multiple choice. There's true false questions. There's no essays you have to write. So it's not too strenuous of an exam. But if you have really sat through each of these modules and have done your homework, you are going to be fully prepared. You will be surprised that you have retained more than you think you have. And again, you don't have to memorize everything, but I think some of the questions will take some thoughtful, time to just really, because there's some that are similar. So just like any other test, just taking your time, grab a nice cup of tea. Once you start the exam, you need to finish it. You're not going to be able to go back. So just be sure that you have set enough time to just allow yourself to honor the exam, and you're all going to do great. If you have done your homework and have sat through these sessions, these trainings, you're going to do great. You're going to do great. So, all right. Okay. So, can we do pictures? Can we do pictures? And I see there's a lot of questions. So, please be sure, and I will get to the questions in the chat and answer them as soon as I am able. And I want everyone to remember with the hearts, because we're getting close to graduation, and I can't wait for everyone to see the pictures and our graduation ceremony. So everyone's doing great. So you're putting up the single hearts, not the ones with the effect, but the ones just with the single heart. Oh my gosh, you guys are way faster than me. Okay, here we go. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Great. Oh my gosh, beautiful smiles. I love. Oh, and Sydney's got her kitty. Hello, kitty. Hello, hello. Okay, I'm going to the next screen, and on the count of 3, I want to see everyone's hearts. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, beautiful. Oh my gosh, look at how beautiful you all are. Oh, Elizabeth's got her heart. Thank you, Elizabeth, for that. Oh my gosh, beautiful. Okay, last one. Okay, on the count of 3, we'll do hearts one more time. 1, 2, and 3. Excellent. Okay, we did it. You guys, I just can't thank you enough for being like so patient with me with my technicals or lack of technical skills. And and I don't know how you got that yes check mark up there, Heather. I don't know how you did that. Don't know you. That's how I roll. I have no idea how that happens. Okay, we want to see each other in the Facebook group. We want to all cheer everyone on. And Michelle did the yes too. How do you guys do that? No, Michelle, check no. Okay, I'm sending you guys all sorts of love, and really let's stay in touch in the Facebook group. You all are doing so amazing. We are getting close, so we're all here to answer questions, and I'll get to the chat and get those questions answered as soon as possible. So sending you guys love from Boise. Have a great week. Okay, thanks so much. Bye, you guys. Excellent work tonight. Good job.